Good evening and welcome to the, well, I suppose you could call it a Newcastle preview, but it's more or less a Lopetegui out preview as well, I think. We've been told that Lopetegui has one more game left. If we lose to Newcastle, he's gone. I think it's pretty certain that we're going to lose to Newcastle, and I think we're going to test that theory a bit about how likely it is to be his last game should we lose. Chris, good evening.
Evening, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right. Got a can of Monster, so pink one tonight, so I'm going all right.
Cheers, mate. Me too. I'm drinking Lewis Hamilton tonight. Never heard of it before.
Oh, you'd be going fast. You'd be going really
heard
fast.
of it, but not heard of the drink before. It's actually quite nice. Nice.
Nothing yet has beaten the gold one though. The gold one, the voluptuous pineapple or whatever it was.
Was that the one that keeps you up all night?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Best soft drink ever. Loved it. Good evening, everybody in the chat. And Claire and Matt. Claire's a bit tetchy today, so don't cross her. She's going to be strict Claire today, I reckon. So let's talk about first of all the let's call it a rumor because that's all it is, and that is that David Sullivan is teetering on the brink, and should we lose against Newcastle, he's going to pull the trigger. True or false, Chris?
Well, I'd like to think it's true, but then at the same time, I'm also thinking to myself, as I'm sure pretty much every fan is thinking right now, you kind of get to a point in the season, Gary, where you kind of know whether or not you've got the right guy in charge of the team, right? I think everyone knows, Sullivan knows, I'm sure everyone at West Ham knows he is not the guy. So I just don't understand why we are potentially just giving him the next two games. Why the fuck are we not getting rid of him, just before the international break? Because it's pointless, right? These are dead rubber games, ultimately. And so the way I kind of see it is, I think he's going to be gone, but I just don't understand why he wasn't gone 2 weeks ago, because at least that would have given us an opportunity to get a new guy in. There's no expectation on him winning against beating Newcastle or Arsenal. Of course,
no, there isn't. No.
Dead rubber games. But at least then he's got a bit more time to try and integrate his new methods into the team, right? So I think Lopetegui's done, irrespective, mate. I do, and I want him gone now. To be honest with you, Gail, I can't bear him in charge another game. Watched his pre-match review yesterday. It's diabolical, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Honestly, it's so uninspiring. The disappointing news tonight is that it's being talked about endlessly in the chat here. Is that Spurs are battering Man City 3-0. That is disappointing, I must admit. But it's like Spurs they're playing Tourette's football at the moment, aren't they? It's like little bursts, and then it all goes quiet again. They lost to Ipswich and Palace, so worry not, people in the chat. I think everyone's beating City at the moment. We wouldn't, but I think everyone else is. Don't know what's happened to Pep. This is not a Man City show, but is there something amiss there? Do you reckon? Have they been told that they're gonna receive a bad punishment? Because he started talking about it in the media, saying if they were relegated to the conference, he'd stay with them.
I think he's just saying that in the sense of he's got a love for Man City. So irrespective of what, not that it's ever going to happen, right? Unless of course they are found guilty of whatever. But I don't think it would, because he said on a few occasions in the past that if Man City were guilty, he would leave. Because he doesn't believe, that would be the way that ultimately you should run a football club. So I don't think that. I don't know. I think they're just going for a bit of a spell at the minute, because I was watching the game, mate, and for the first 15 minutes, Man City are all over Spurs. Spurs have grabbed a couple of goals, like literally against the run of play, and suddenly it's 3-0. These games happen, but it's funny because I genuinely don't really care about Spurs anymore. I was having this conversation with my boy earlier, because I'm more bothered about Arsenal than I am Spurs. It's like I've got more of a hatred for Arsenal
every day of the week. Yeah, every day of the week. After what the stroke they pulled with Rice, it wasn't just signing Rice. You can sign one of our players. That's fine if you pay the price. But it's the piss taking. It was a little bit too much, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And my back to no one cares about fucking City anyway. So going back to West Ham, my personal opinion on this is it's nonsense. I don't think he's going anywhere until we drop into the bottom three, because in the back of my mind somewhere, I cannot find where I got this information, but I know I was saying it end of last season, maybe. And it's to do with the performance-based SLAs and KPIs inside his contract, that if we were to fall into the bottom three, that's basically a trigger for being able to get rid of him for bugger all. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but it's there in the back of my mind. I think there's something in that. We're waiting for it to get bad to a certain point before they get rid. Now, if you look at the teams below us today, 3 out the 4 below us picked up points. Wolves slaughtered Fulham 4-1 at their place. They've really started picking up, and I don't think, I just don't think that Sullivan is going to do anything unless he absolutely has to. I think he's happy to just sit on his hands because at the moment it's just not desperate enough for him. And in his little mind, even though he's seen the evidence that we've also, I mean, I've never seen West Ham channels so united on this. We're all kind of looking at what Lopetegui has done this year. And even like the likes of us who were trying to be supportive, you look at it and you think, this is terrible. This is just unacceptable what he's trying to do. The guy is incompetent. So, you could not see that as a football club owner. I don't know. But it's on a wing and a prayer as far as he's concerned. He got lucky with Moyes once before, and so he thinks he's now the oracle and he can call these things and see into the future. He's trying. He's giving him every little last chance to try and get an upturn. And it just ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. We're going to get our bottom smacked by Newcastle on Monday. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's been a few rumours of replacement managers. There's obviously the Terzic one, which, again, listen, I'll take him now. Instead of Lopetegui, of course I'll take him. I'll take Potter. There's certain ones I wouldn't take, but I'll take them too. And I gave me reasons on Potter last week. There's he's very much underestimated. He didn't really fail at Chelsea when you look at it in West Ham terms, in sort of ratio of games won. It just wasn't good enough for Chelsea, right? But at Brighton, this was a progressive manager who could change the game several times, sometimes during the 90 minutes. He could change his tactics, change his shape to win a game. He did it against Moyes time after time. What do you think? So, firstly, on those two, Chris, before we talk about the star prize.
I'd be happy with either. I've said it before. Frankly speaking, I'd be happy with pretty much anyone aside from Lopetegui and Moyes, of course. So yeah, I'm pretty relaxed about the manager. That I just think whoever we go for is going to be a better option than what we've got right now. Is the truth. I don't mind if we took someone on an interim basis either, just till the end of the season, until we can get potentially someone maybe a bit more, I don't know, a bigger name potentially, who knows. But yeah, I just think we need to make a change. And I think going back to your point around, you don't think it's going to happen anytime soon based on this kind of bottom 3 situation, there's clauses in contracts and what have you. I mean, look, I get it. And I suppose history would tell us that Sullivan operates that way. He doesn't like to get rid of managers too soon. I get that. It's all about the money. Totally understand that. But I also think that if we do get spanked by Newcastle on Monday, and we also get tonked by Arsenal as well the following week, then I think I don't see how he can hold on to him. And actually, maybe we'd be in the bottom 3 by that point. I don't know. If we lose the next 2 games and results go against us, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked at the table in that respect. But I can absolutely see him going this side of Christmas, mate. I can.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. I think he's going to go one time in the next 4 games. So whenever it is we drop into the bottom 3, if you look at the fixtures today, you had one of our rivals playing at home to Chelsea, and they lost. Big surprise, right? Chelsea are playing well. Other than that, all the teams picked up either a draw or a win out of the 4 teams below us. So there is a risk that that's going to pull us in. Those results actually were a lot worse than I thought they would be today. And if it carries on in that trend, he could go a bit earlier. So it could be after the Arsenal game. But I think what's going to happen is it's going to take until, what is it first, Leicester or Wolves? I think is Leicester first, isn't it?
Leicester, I think, yeah.
I think it's going to take, looking at the table and the fixtures, till after Wolves to convince Sullivan that he's dead, right? The only thing that will change it is if we get an absolute tonking.
Yeah, results dependent, isn't it, basically? Yeah. So, and I think with those games coming up, unless something miraculously changes, but I don't expect it to, then I think he will go. After I think at the latest, I think it would be after Arsenal. After that particular game.
Yeah, totally agree. So, the exciting story in the media at the moment of rumoured names in the frame. I mean, this is the one that literally every single West Ham supporter would cheer about, and that is Areola from Bournemouth. I mean, that's like a dream appointment, right?
Yeah,
they'd have to pay to get him out of Bournemouth. But apparently Sullivan is actually considering it, for the first time ever? Has he actually realised that the manager is important now? Who knows?
I'm not going to read too much into that because it goes against the
Iriola, not Areola.
Iria. Although, do you know, I'd rather have Ariola in the dugout than flipping Lopetegui. I think buying a manager out, that just goes against what Sullivan's about. So I'm not really going to read too much into that. I'm not. I fully expect that we'll get someone that is available and free right now. You know, the likes of, I don't know, whether it's going to be Potter or whether it's going to be Terzic. There seems to be a bit more momentum on Terzic, actually. I think it's inevitable. And again, I'm just frustrated, mate, because
don't you think, though,
make this change sooner?
Don't you think that the rumours on Terzic about saying we're on standby, that's all coming from the Steiten side, the Steiten camp, isn't it? It's not coming from Sullivan. We'd be hearing about it otherwise. I think these other stories that are coming out about other managers are coming from the Sullivan side. Having said that, if Sullivan is choosing Iriola and Steiten is choosing Terzic, then I've got to question Steiten, because I think if Sullivan was to do that, I'd have to give him a lot of credit, as much as it goes against my nature. I would, because he's the only owner we've got. And if he does something right, you've got to say well done, right? If he did something like that, I would give him credit, but I just can't see him doing it.
No, I think it's going to be Potter, mate. I think he's going to be the one that replaces Lopetegui. Terzic, you know, I've been reading a bit more into him, and I think, you know, he kind of, I don't say necessarily divides opinion. I think the overall consensus of Dortmund fans weren't particularly happy with regards to how they were playing, but also, from my understanding, a lot of the players didn't particularly get on with him. And from what I actually understand, also Füllkrug wasn't, you know, his biggest fan either. Not that he's going to be with us much longer anyway, realistically, or maybe, I don't know. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I just don't. I think there's more ticks in the box for Potter than there is Terzic. Terzic's not managing the Premier League. Potter has. Potter knows the Premier League, right? So you kind of know what you get with him. We know that he can operate in the model that we've basically, we're trying to implement, because I still don't think it's 100% implemented with this director of football, because Sullivan's still, you know, too heavily involved in things. But yeah, I think it's going to be Potter. And look, once they just need to make a bloody decision, mate, and make it happen. You know, I'm not really too fussed about what happens at Newcastle and Arsenal, because I know that in my heart of hearts, I want us to win, but I don't think we will. So I think we just need to make the change now. If it's a cost thing and it's all about dropping into the bottom three, then fuck, maybe we should just hope we lose the next 2 games just so we can get a shot at this guy, because long term, this is not the option for us.
No, it's really not. Everyone knows he's a dead man walking. You know, literally everyone. Sullivan knows it as well. He's just hoping for a miracle, like he always does, right? I would love Iriola, but again, I would be actually quite happy with Potter. I'd be quite happy. I don't consider that to be, you know, a cheap. He is out of work, so he don't have to pay to get in, blah, 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 blah. But he's also very selective about where he goes, right? He wouldn't take any old job, believe it or not. He ain't just going to take Leicester job if Leicester offered it to him, right? He ain't going to. He considers himself an elite manager still. He got the Chelsea job, but that's where he thinks he belongs. Probably true to say he belongs more in a job like ours than in an elite job. But that's good. We get someone of our level who actually plays progressive football and knows about football tactics and how to deploy different tactics to combat different systems would be a major step up. But Iriola's like the wet dream, and he's like the wet dream.
It's the dream that's not going to happen, mate, in my opinion. You know, it is. Yeah. I think with Potter, you make a good point. I also think that he's got a point to prove, because with regards to what happened to him at Chelsea, I think it was a very, very bizarre set of circumstances, you know, in terms of the volume of players that you had there, the turnover, everything. It was a real point of transition for that club. So I think that was going to be hard for any manager coming in, let alone Potter. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to prove a point that he's actually a very good manager.
I agree. And don't forget, when he went to Chelsea as well, he was being linked with the England job. He was being linked with us as well before he went to Chelsea, and we were looking at him as, at the time, as a bit of that would be brilliant to bring someone like Potter in. And suddenly, because he's gone to Chelsea and had a mare, he ain't had a mare, right? Let's get that right. But really, in the public consciousness, he has had a mare. but he really didn't. If you look at his results, I heard about this the other week. Went and checked it out. It's nowhere near as bad as you think it is. He lost a couple of games that he shouldn't have, but other than that, he ground out some results. But he didn't turn Chelsea, like the American owner expected, into a championship challenging side. He didn't. But at that time, the side was a basket case. He had so many players, a lot of them on 8 and 10-year contracts, who weren't listening to any manager who hasn't got a football background, right? He got treated quite harshly, I think. Right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Look, he can't do worse than what Lopetegui's done. 100%. And when I know we've spoken about this many times about Lopetegui, but I keep thinking to myself all the time, is there absolutely anything that we can look at and think, you know what, he did okay there? But when you kind of look at what he has brought, well, we've brought in a lack of progressive football. We have no identity right now in terms of our style of play, in my opinion. As a manager or as a coach, he's totally tactically inept as well.
Yeah.
New players brought in, but the team has declined. The players look confused. They look uninterested in many respects. We're also slow and lethargic all over the pitch, which, by the way, Newcastle are absolutely going to take advantage of. So there's literally nothing. So anyone right now, and absolutely Potter can do a much better job than Lopetegui. So let's just make it happen and this will get shot at this guy. I don't really want to talk about him anymore, to be honest with you. It was an absolutely disastrous appointment for us from day one. Massively uninspiring to go after a manager like that. This happens so much, we have these moments at West Ham, these moments where we could have done the right thing. We always take the fucking cheap option, whether it's a manager, whether it's a player. We do it all the time, and we need to learn from this, but we never learn from this, and we never will learn from it for as long as Sullivan is running that club. But I just hope that we can get rid of Lopetegui sooner rather than later, because this is untenable, this situation now. It's not fair on the fans, mate. We turn up every bloody week for this. And I'm sick tired of it. I'm losing my passion, mate, watching this. I'm losing my love for West Ham sometimes when you watch this guy, Hate to say it's true. It is true.
Yeah, no, it's true. But it's only I only ever have one response to stuff like that, Chris. And fucking hell, suck it up and suffer like the rest of us, for Christ's sake.
I get it. I get it. But it's got to change. It's got to change.
Get yourself down there and be miserable with the rest of us. That's what you need to do.
Right. Oh, I will be, mate. I'll be there. But
I know. So yeah, look, I think let's go through a few comments to start with, and before we close this and talk about the horror show that's going to be Newcastle, right? Knowing West Ham will probably beat Newcastle, says Irons. I honestly,
will that save him, Gal? Will that save him? Do you reckon? If let's say, like,
I'll tell you what. Can I just say, and hear me out, people in the comments. I think the only way with the players we got to get something out of Newcastle and Arsenal, especially, is to go low block with a 4-2-3-1 with the players we've got available at the moment, right? And hit them on the counter.
Particularly
that's all we got.
Particularly with the threats that they have, because they hit us in all of our weak spots, right? So that's the concern. But going back to that comment about West Ham beating Newcastle, let's say they did beat us. Let's say we did beat Newcastle. Does that save Lopetegui, mate? Let's say
I think it does. Yeah, I think it does. And also, the Lopetegui bandwagon is rolling on, probably courtesy of Guillaume Balaguer. I hate the bloke. I don't hate many people, but I do hate Guillaume Balaguer because he gaslighted and took the piss out of the West Ham fans. I don't like that. I always take it personally, and he did. And I think he had the ball behind him because they were promoting who Sullivan wanted. And what's happening at the moment is they're referring, and I've read 3 articles tonight going through the news, referring to Lopetegui as former Spanish international manager and Real Madrid coach, right? Both of which are true. But let's get it into context. He didn't win anything with the Spanish international side. He had every good player available to him. He got sacked from there because he showed disloyalty and accepted the Real Madrid job while he was still the Spanish international coach, which means he's got not a bone, not a shred of loyalty in his body. And then finally, Real Madrid sacked him double quick when they found out he was shit. Right?
Yeah, like 10 games or something, wasn't it?
It was ridiculous. They probably had the same response to seeing his football as we did.
It's amazing. They say things like that, like former Real Madrid manager. That's like saying, I don't know, Julian Faubert, former Real Madrid star, when he only played 1 game for him.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That is a perfect example. Yeah, perfect example. Yeah. Yeah. So I can't stand watching Lobby in a Loppy in a pre-match conference. Same old shit. Yeah. He's a one-trick pony. I thought he was quite transparent to start with. I was quite taken with his gentle Spanish ways. But no. Now he winds me up almost as much as the predecessor.
You
Right,
watch
Ricky,
one. You watch one of those pre-match.
you watched them all. You've watched
exactly.
them all. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ricky Jordan says false. Never going to happen. He is here for the season. He would have gone start the international break. No Hammers fans expect us to beat Newcastle. No, I think you're wrong there, Ricky. He's dead man walking. He's going, mate. You know, you're going to have a nice surprise, Ricky. That's what I predict. David Lodge, Loppy's press conferences are cringeworthy. He's a blinking mess. Yes, he is. Looks like someone put his head in a pencil sharpener and got bored with half a twist. Is that a reflection on his haircut? It is a bit. Yeah, I know what you're saying there. Good observation. Roger Cook signed a new contract, Gary. Signed a new contract, Gary. Oh, Iriola. Yes, he has. That's why it cost a fair chunk of money to get out. But nonetheless, I think if West Ham came knocking, he'd come rather. Right. Claire wants Potter. We all wanted Potter when we had Moyes. Yes, we did. That was a good point, Claire. In Loopy, that's more like it. Sullivan trusts until we sink to the bottom. Yeah, look, he's got no loyalty for anyone, Ricky. He will just, he will sack him as soon as he gets bored of him, and that he knows there's nowhere to go. And there's a danger of relegation, which there isn't at the moment. Even San Marino are in better form than City. Even San Marino would beat us right now. Not even joking. That's true, Craven, isn't it? It's true. Manager list, anyone out of work? Yeah. Well, Potter, Terzic, Southgate, Benitez, Moyes. Yeah, stop it, Gary. I think Moyes is out of running now, by the way. I'm not even going to mention that again.
Hey, do you know what? I'm glad you finally.
Shut up.
I'm so glad you've realised this is not going to happen, mate. Honestly, it's been doing my head in here about the Moyes stuff.
I've been convinced, but I do hold it in reserve that I can always come back to it if it happens, right? And say I was right. I called it first. Right?
You just said you gave up on it.
I can be in the know. I can be in the know, even though I don't know much.
You literally just said it's not happening now. So now you're admitting you're wrong.
Yeah. I probably will be wrong. Yeah. It's not. It's never happened before, but it's always the first time. He should have gone after the Everton game. Yeah, of course he should. Of course he should. But we all said this. We all know this, and we've all seen. We all kind of called, most of us, that he wouldn't go because that is how Sullivan works, right, Jason? Roger says Potter transformed Brighton's style of play. Yes, he did. Absolutely did. And they did play Moyes ball under Houghton. That was a desperate form of football. Yes, good point. He actually did that previously at Swansea as well. This is a proven manager in the Premier League. He did it with Chelsea, but didn't deliver a kind of championship-winning, championship-challenging team like he was expected to.
He also
by
had
the Mad
about
American
5,000 players, Gal. He had about.
I know.
Players,
no, the Mad American, when he landed, he went out and put and basically, he'd done all sorts of stuff like refinancing or selling the hotel to bring in football revenue to spend on players. And because he couldn't buy enough players, he had to put them on really long contracts and spread it over a period of time. To get inside FFP. Sullivan has to change one way or another because the pressure is now truly on him. Yes, it is. Everyone has a part, but the spotlight will be on Sullivan, and things will will get bad. Need it to be the right coach, says Randy. Yes, of course we do. This is probably one of the most pivotal times in our recent history where the call has got to be the right call. He cannot get it wrong. It cannot be another Sullivan special. He's got to bite the bullet and do something that's slightly out of character. I hope he's got people in his ear other than Karen Brady giving him, football people giving him football advice because she's not a football person, right? So I have no confidence in J-Lo getting it right, even less confidence in Sully doing the right thing. Yep, Wazim, agreed. Bottom 4 if we lose the next 3 games. Yeah. I think 3, maybe 4, worst case. That's what I'm saying, Jason. To sack Loopy would cost more money than if it were to hire Amarin. Yeah. We said this last week. And Iriola, who will go on to manage the top club, the way he's going, it could be another one of them that we're thinking could have had him for like 15 million paid to Bournemouth. Yeah. Even Basil 40 wouldn't take him on as a waiter. No, he'd be a crap waiter, wouldn't he? He'd drop stuff everywhere. Michael Blees, We get relegated. Sullivan loses so much money in his assets. Yeah. Look, he is a businessman at the end of the day, and he's also got Kretinsky, the other major shareholder in his ears. I think the Gold family don't care. They're just, well, they do care. Of course they do, but they're just going to go along with whatever Sullivan wants because he is the all-seeing eye. Gary Brock, one good thing is if we get relegated, we'll be playing Millwall next season. Yeah. Bring back Winston Reid. College Chilvers says, gentlemen, I can see Loppy going soon for... I know there is pressure on him in the boardroom from other members of the board. Yeah, heard that actually. It's a very unhappy, unbalanced board at the moment. I think literally the only one or the only two who are holding on to Lopetegui, being loyal to Lopetegui, is Sullivan, aided by Brady. Lady Brady, some lady. Jason McKeekin says Sullivan has 3 picks, Stighton has 3 picks, and apparently Brady has 3 picks. At what? Manager? Evening, Gary, says Darren Potter. What do you think both the school will be on Monday? We'll get to that in a second. Darren, it's going to be horrible. Iriola, Marco Silva. Yeah, look, Marco Silva, Iriola, dream managers. But no. I see Avram Grant Slipper. I mean, look, no. Potter is not a booby prize. Potter, before, when we had Moyes, when he went to Chelsea, we would have been absolutely raving about. He didn't turn crap because he went to Chelsea, right? Anyone noticed how much, and I'm defending him because I do think that's who it's going to be, right? Like Chris. Anyone noticed how much Loppy has aged? Yeah, well, he's entitled to, isn't he? We need someone on steady things. I think that's it for now. Let's go back and have a chat about Newcastle. We will, let me just put up back here, get back to live comments.
I think Lopetegui looks physically a bit of a mess at the moment. You know, it's funny that people are saying that.
He does.
He's turning up. He's not had a shave. He looks a bit of a mess. I think he knows he's a dead man walking, and I just don't think he. I don't know. I just think he just doesn't really inspire me in any of the. He did at the beginning, you know, like when he first came to West Ham. I was thinking, like you know, some of the interviews that he was doing. I thought, you know, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't overly enamoured by actually getting him as manager, but I thought, you know, give him a chance. He's come across quite well in interviews and what have you. But as time has progressed, obviously, I know he can't be particularly, I don't know, positive after we're losing games or whatever, but he just really, really lacks that kind of, do you know what I mean? Like
he does. There's no, for want of a better expression, he's got no vavavoom, has he? Right?
There's nothing about him, mate. Honestly,
he's gone.
He's a fucking Spanish goldfish, mate.
Yeah, but can I tell you why? Can I tell you why though? Why I think that is? I think he knows he's going because that honestly, this is a business. It's a gossip business where everybody knows everybody else's business, and if that Terzic has been spoken to, if Iriola's been spoken to, if Potter's been spoken to, Loppy will know about it. At least his agents will know about it because that's the grapevine, right? Nothing's a secret in this game. Nothing.
Yeah.
Right. That's one more. Brady ain't no lady, but Craven, you've just lowered the tone. Can we rely on you? Can't you? What's rely on you? Another one said that she's a baroness, not a lady. Yeah. Whatever. Right. Okay. Let's talk about Newcastle, which is going to be a misery fest, I predict. Let's talk about, first of all, Newcastle themselves. I mean, I did check. Alvarez is only on a 1-game ban, not a 2-game ban, because it doesn't count as 2 because they were in separate competitions. So it was 2 yellow cards, 1-game ban in the Premier League. Remember the other one was in the League Cup?
You sure about that?
Yes, 100% sure. It's a technicality.
Which, if that's true, is interesting because in the interview that Lopetegui did yesterday, he specifically called out Alvarez and said he's not available because he's suspended for this game. So if that is true, and you're right, then that's pretty pathetic that Lopetegui, you know, the coach of West Ham, doesn't even know what players he's got available.
Yeah, well, Alvarez is definitely available. I've confirmed that from what I just read now, but I read that last week about the you know, they're both in separate competitions, so he got away with it on a technicality. So he'll be back. So say we play low block, and that is the only way we're going to get anything out of this game. We sit back, we sit deep, we defend properly, we hit them on the break, and so we've got to go 4-2-3-1, same as last year, but with better defenders. Wan-Bissaka stays back and fucking defends. Emerson on the other side defends. Todibo and Kilman in the middle, they defend. In front of them, you're going to have, more than likely, you're going to have Alvarez and Souček. But because Alvarez is there, I would say it'll be Alvarez and Rodriguez in the middle, because they ain't got to go up and down the pitch, right? That'll be okay. And then 3 in front of them. This is where I'd drop Paqueta, and I'd actually go against all my instincts and all my beliefs, and I'd actually would play Thomas Souček in that number 10 role in the middle between Bowen and Somerville, with Antonio up front, because this is all about counter-attack. They're not very good at they do let you cross the ball, Newcastle, right? So having a box crasher like Souček might be useful if we're doing that counter-attack thing. I don't for 1 minute think we're going to do the counter-attack thing, by the way. And I don't think it's going to be 4-2-3-1. I think it's just going to be another chaos fest. But that is how I think we should line up. What do you think, Chris?
I mean, I'm still going on the understanding that Alvarez isn't available. You might be right and I might be wrong on this one. Yeah. So I would agree with you. I think the only way we may be able to get something is doing the low block. There's no version of this where we play an expansive high line and fucking inverted high line fullbacks where we're actually going to get something, because they're going to do us. That's the reality. So we have to play the low block. I mean, Souček playing the 10. I understand your reasoning behind that. Not for me. I don't want him there. I thought Paqueta looked better in the last game, so I would play him, because I still think that he offers us our only kind of creative outlet, to get it into the final thirds, potentially to Antonio or whoever it's going to be, or Bowen or whatever. So I wouldn't play Souček there, but I think Souček will play anyway, and I suspect it will be Souček and Rodriguez playing in that kind of double pivot. Yeah. And that scares the living shit out of me, because when you look at Newcastle here, they have got pace in abundance across their team, mate. Like, we know this. And as I said earlier on, my concern with regards to facing Newcastle right now is that they have players literally in every position where I feel we are really vulnerable. And that's why I think we're going to get spanked on Monday, right? I mean, Newcastle, just looking at some of the players they've got, right? So they've got pace in Gordon. They've got pace in Isak, their striker. They've got pace in Chris Willock, who plays obviously in midfield. We have no pace in those areas. In midfield, we've got nothing. So if we get overrun in midfield, we are going to get absolutely spanked on Monday. They've also got the likes of Callum Wilson returning, who always likes a goal against us. Obviously, Isak likes a goal against us as well. They've got Trippier returning. If they want to put Tonali in there, they can play him as well, but he'd probably be on the bench, which is another reinforcement for them. They've had 3 players that just come back from England international duty as well, so they're all going to be on a bit of a crest of a wave. So I think we're catching Newcastle at a potentially bad time. They played Nottingham Forest just before the international break. Yeah, they beat them 3-1. They looked very convincing, and also they had who's that? Joel Linton. They had Joel Linton playing. Yeah, they had him playing like this weird kind of right wing position, but he was unbelievable. So I think he's going to probably play there. And you look again to the threats. Gordon, left wing. When we play our high line fullbacks, he's going to cause us all kinds of fucking problems, right? Same for the likes of Chris Willock. Same for the likes of Alexander Isak, right? So it's dangerous, man. I just can't see how we're going to get anything. And and I agree with you. I think the worst thing we can do, though, and I know I've annoyed a few people, but that's why I gave the caveat before I said it about putting Souček in at number 10. I completely disagree with playing Souček in number 10. I'm thinking horses for courses in this game. And this game has got to be about defending as a unit, solid, right? And then having, somebody who can pick a pass. And that Rodriguez can actually pick a pass if he wants to, but you've also got pace down both wings with Somerville and Bowen. And then you've got Antonio doing his best up front. They're really strong in the middle. You need physical people in the middle. So that's why I'm saying, that is not going to be a job for Paqueta, because this season he's just not up for a physical battle. Not up for it at all. And he's been crap. Let's not forget, since we last watched West Ham, how crap he's been this year. And he was better last game, though, mate. He was
better last game. Yeah, he was, but still better, as in a 5 out of 10 rather than a 1 out of 10. I mean, this is not the old Paqueta we're talking about here. How many chances is he creating? How many chances did he create against Everton?
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that.
That's what he's there for, in theory. So if he's not going to be creating those chances and playing in, the long balls to the runners, or maybe the quick pass to the runners, then if he's not doing that job, what use is he? Because he's no good as a defensive player. He just fails people. So that's why I'd say I'm literally seeing the benefit of the Moyes tactics in these 2 next games, because otherwise I think we're going to get hurt. If we try to attack these with flair players, leaving ourselves exposed, they will fucking murder us. Like you just said, their midfield has got everything that we haven't got. Pace, guile, they're dirty, they're filthy, they're niggly. That Joe Linton could potentially be up against, if you think about it, his right side, you could have Paqueta on the left side, right? You could have them up against each other. There's no love lost between them two, right? That could be, they're experts at the dark arts, right? The slightest little thing, they're going to be rolling around on the floor, holding
his
their
best
face.
mates with Paqueta's best mates with what's his face, the guy that got in midfield, the Brazilian lad in midfield, Guimarães.
Yeah,
so I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a bit of a point to prove for Paqueta as well when he's come up against his mate, that he's thinking, do you know what, I want to win this battle today. I don't know. Like,
Guimarães will be way up for it as well. So they've got Joe Linton and Guimarães.
Yeah, no, right? Mate, they've got a quality team, and I don't know. I mean, I just think that one thing that really does irritate me is the fact that we're talking about Rodriguez, and he probably will play, but the guy wants out of West Ham, right?
Yeah.
So, and if that is strictly true, why the hell are we playing? I mean, this is what annoys me so much. And I know that we've got Potts out on loan and this, that, and the other, but I mean, for God's sake, this guy doesn't want to be at West Ham. He wants to go in the January transfer window, and we look at him as probably being not the first name on the team sheet, but probably one of our only options in central midfield. Why can't we just drop him and play Soler or someone? Because for me, if you want out of the club, I don't want you in the team.
I agree. I totally agree. It has my vote. Yeah, anyone. I don't care who it is. That is, West Ham will go have some self-respect. We'll go have some self-respect. If someone don't want to be here, goodbye. Move on.
Yeah.
They will tear us apart. There's a lot of people seeing this the same way in here. Sorry, my son hopes we get beat by Newcastle. Sullivan at last wakes up to the problem. Well, look, if we get beat, I hate seeing us get beat, even under Lopetegui. I really struggled even last year to hope that West Ham lose. I can't do it. I can never bring myself to bloody do it. But there is a silver lining, I guess. If we do lose, I don't want us to lose, but there is a silver lining. The only thing I'll say is, if we lose, well, I hope it. If we lose, I hope it is a heavy defeat, so that it makes Sullivan's mind up for him and he acts sooner rather than later.
But do you know what? On that note, right? So you talk about heavy defeats, and maybe that might be, the final straw. But I don't think that's the way Sullivan thinks anyway. Because look at Moyes. Look how many heavy defeats he had. When we're like, oh, do you know what? If he gets spanked by this team, he's going to be gone.
Well, there is that. There is that.
Hanging on, didn't we? Didn't matter.
There'll be part of Sullivan doing exactly what I said before the international break, and that'll be he would have already written these 2 games off anyway. So these results won't mean a thing to him, right? That is
performances though. Performances though, Gal.
Yeah.
He needs to show something. The team needs to show something, right? So
but Chris, the performances under Moyes when we were getting stuffed
like these 2 games, but we expect them to be playing better football.
But Chris, away at Chelsea, at home to Arsenal under Moyes, they were embarrassments, right? Total embarrassments. And I think we're going to see the same again in the next couple of games. It was no better under Moyes towards the end. I mean, it was a little, he tried to make it look a little bit more solid. It was a whole lot more negative. So, but we were getting bashed out big time towards the end of his reign. Let nobody forget that. You remember that they basically took Declan Rice and all their star players off Arsenal in the home game to kind of stop us. They didn't think it was necessary to beat us up anymore. They had already done. It's embarrassing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like I say, I just think that even if we do get heavy defeat, I don't think it's a cast iron guarantee that that's going to be a final now and then. In Lopetegui's coffee. I think it's not even really about heavy defeats. I don't think sometimes. I just don't think. It should be, but I don't think that's the way Sullivan thinks. No. Look, I'm inclined to agree with you. We're always hopeful, always kind of hoping and giving Sullivan a chance to do the right thing, knowing full well that he's going to do the bloody wrong thing, almost inevitably. But he could prove us wrong, I suppose. We know he ain't going to, but he could. It's in his power to prove us wrong, isn't it? Go on, prove us wrong, Sullivan. Force us to be nice about you. Go on, I dare you. Not that he cares. Right.
when we're all accepting a defeat in Newcastle, a big margin, we're fucked. Well, look, I'm not accepting a defeat. I don't want a defeat. I'll be pissed off if we lose. But if we're going to lose, might as well be a heavy one, eh, Ralph? That's what I'm saying.
It's about being realistic, mate, isn't it? It's about being realistic, and I just can't see how we get anything out of this unless we, as you say, low block, shithouse win, hit them on a counter. That's about the only way I can see it happening.
I'm always really tentative about saying things like that and try to phrase it in the right way, because someone will watch this video, they'll pick up on a couple of words that I said, like maybe Ralph just did there, and then slaughter me in the comments for it. Ignore the rest of the video or any caveats or anything I said around it. They'll take a couple of words and slaughter me over it, right? Razor says, we can at least try with a new coach against Arsenal to get your brain in the gear, Sullivan. Yes, is how I feel. It's a throwaway game. Might as well. Sullivan history says it always knows. Never signed a decent coach. Well, he did one. He signed Bilic. I think you got to say Bilic was a good coach for a year, and then I think he got fired too early, because don't forget Bilic's circumstances in the second year, Black Country. He was, his prized possession. What's his name? Pyatt wanted to leave. He wasn't giving it his all, and he had a European campaign, and he was given like 30 bob to bolster the team. Right, so he was it was inevitable that he was going to fail. And the minute he started failing, he hadn't even failed completely. The minute he started failing, they fired him. They couldn't wait to fire him. I'm telling you, Bilic was only hired to get us on side during the season of the stadium move.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that, mate, 100%. Because, looking back on that, I remember when we moved to London Stadium, and some of those signings were just tragic. Any manager would have failed with that. Jonathan Caleri, Zaza, Harvard, Nordvite, all these players no one even really ever heard of. I mean, what the hell?
Second raters, Chris.
He had Arbeloa playing at right back and left back for us, didn't he? He was about 35. It was just an awful team. It really was.
They took the fucking piss out of us, right? They got us into that new stadium and then immediately cut back. They cut the purse strings so that he couldn't spend anything on that European campaign. So those celebrations we had the year before, whenever anything goes right at West Ham, watch out for the following year, because it's going to go wrong, like it almost did last year, right? Well, it did last year, really. What will a new manager bring? Well, look, the thing is, a new manager is not going to come in, Andrew, and be given carte blanche to replace the whole team. This is where Potter's attractive, because Potter plays the director of football role in its traditional sense, which means he uses the players that are given to him in the best possible way. He will devise a system. I've just told you a system, 4-2-3-1. Maybe Souček's a bad call, but I'm talking about against normal teams. But we have the players still to play a 4-2-3-1 if we want to. So I'm not saying that should be the system. We probably have the players to play a 4-4-2 as well. Who's to say you couldn't play Ings, who needs a front two, alongside someone else? Maybe Fulkrug get fit one day or something like that. But we need to buy a striker in January. But he will use the resources available to him, exactly like he did at Swansea, exactly like he did at Brighton. And he turned Brighton around massively. It didn't work so well when the Chelsea manager was signing 50, 100 million pound players hand over fist, putting them on 8 and 10 year deals and saying, manage this bunch, please. So that is, I think, the most tactically astute decision. Apart from the guy at Fulham, I think that would be the most tactically astute decision. I think he's a dead cert success, right? The guy at Fulham, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Come on, say it. Come on.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, no one's a dead cert success, because it all depends on what the actual board how they back the manager as well, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, again, Lopetegui, not Lopetegui for me. I'd say Iriola or Potter. Any one of those is going to be a better option than what we have, mate. So it's all going to be an improvement, Gal. It will all be an improvement. So it just needs to happen. Just needs to happen, because I can't bear turning up for another game again just seeing complete and utter chaos. It's just soul destroying. Soul destroying.
Well, this is the thing. We could be having, like Bodger says here, we could be having this conversation, same conversation again next week after a stuffing by Newcastle. Yeah. Or, a narrow defeat might fucking buy him time. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Sullivan will grasp at straws and not spend money until he has to. I honestly think Loppy changes it so much. The players have no idea what's expected of them. Yeah, I think, Claire, that's exactly what's happened. What he's got is a system and it's system over everything. Very similar to Moyes in a way, but Moyes' system was a lot easier to fit a square peg in a round hole and get them to do a fixed task. In this system, they have to use a lot of it requires a lot of presence of mind and ability to read situations and switch gear and change to defensive and mid and attacking formations. It just doesn't work. They just lose their heads, especially when we go 1-0 down. It is the sort of system that Loppe lucked out with when he joined Sevilla, because the players he had there could play his system. And it's a much slower league, don't forget, right? And so not so prone to getting hit on the counter. But he had the players there. And as soon as 2 years after, he won the Europa League with the squad that he inherited from Villa's manager. He won the Europa League. He did quite well in it. I think he got them to the Champions League 3 years running. Then, as soon as he had to refresh that squad and actually start bringing his own players in, the wheels started falling off. And lo and behold, he was sacked within 10 games of the new season. I think the 4th season. So he's got history. He's got history here, right? Thanks, Black Country. True Claire. Right, okay. I'm rubbish at comments, aren't I? I think we're. I love Slav. He lost Payet and Sacco. Yeah. He did. Honestly, you've got to look back at the history and realise how he had his legs cut out from underneath him. Really bad. A shithouse draw save his job. Well, I don't think that'd save his job, but I think it would because look, I think it's all about dropping this to bottom 3, like I said earlier. I think when that happens, and it will happen, believe me. He's gone. We all forget or time moves on and it's starting to look a bit more dangerous, because let's face it, we're in November. It ain't dangerous at the moment. We're still like just one win would take us into the top half sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's not dangerous at the moment.
Well, that's
so
the thing,
Sullivan will not be scared.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at Newcastle, we think they're having a decent season, right? So if we beat Newcastle, no, we're not going to. If we beat Newcastle, suddenly we're only 3 points off them. Do you know what I mean? So it can change quite quickly with 2 wins on the bounce. But I know that won't happen. Do you know what I mean? But you're right. But still, the next 2 games, I mean, it is actually a pivotal part of the season, because we don't see us getting anything out of the next 2 games. And then suddenly we are right back in the shit. So it is a pivotal part of the season, actually, for me. I think now is actually a really, really important time to make the right decisions and get shot off the manager.
Well, this is the thing. Once the Leicester game and the Wolves game's on top of you, and that is 2 games in like 5 days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Once they're on top of you, if you bring a manager in then at that point, like after the Arsenal game, the new manager has then got to cobble together a team and some tactics for 2 absolutely pivotal games against 2 rivals, both of whom are not playing that badly at the moment. You know, it's just not. Guys, to be honest, it's got to the point now where Loppe takes acid when he selects team sheet. I think it's a random thing. I think he's got a bingo caller in there. That's what he does.
It feels like that, doesn't it? It really does feel like that.
It's random, you know.
Because again, going back to my point though, Gal, because if you are right about Alvarez, the fact that you know that and Lopetegui doesn't is just, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? If that's true, he doesn't know he's available. I mean, my God.
Yeah. You know, if he could have already checked out inside his own head. If the end is nigh, the players will also know it, because this kind of, you know, this ecosystem of gossip that goes on behind the scenes between agents, you know, the football agents will know what, you know, representing the players will know exactly the same as what the football agents representing the managers know. Word will get back. If stuff has happened, he will know about it and his agent will know about it, which is why I think all this positive Real Madrid manager crap has been suddenly started appearing in these articles.
Yeah.
Loppe to survive should be a 4-2-3-1 mid, but we still lack in the. Yeah, look, we just ain't got the legs. We know it. I mean, of all those players that we bought, no legs in midfield, none at all. And we're trying to play this bloody system that requires athletes, pure breed athletes, to cover all that ground, get up and down the fucking pitch, and we just do not have the physicality to do it. It's hilarious, really, if it wasn't so sad. But the players aren't going to play for Loppe. No, I don't think they will.
Do you know what, though? On that comment, Gal, on that comment. Yeah. So for me, Monday's game against Newcastle, that's the one thing I'm going to be looking for, because if they really aren't playing for that manager, this will be the game. They've had a 2-week international break now. There's a shit ton of pressure on Lopetegui and obviously the team. So now it's going to be really interesting to see if they really are genuinely playing for that manager or not. You know, because
no, you're right. You're absolutely right, Chris. And this I've got it back at you here, David, because Potter was successful before Brighton. It was a well-run club, but he was the one that made them successful in the Premier League, right? He established them in the Premier League. He completely changed their style of play, transformed it, and used all the players that were bought for him in doing so. This is not a crap manager, David.
You're getting a lot of love, aren't you, for Potter now, Gal? I love it. I love it. I know it's brilliant.
Yeah, turn out to be fucking Southgate, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, could you imagine how depressing that'd be? Oh, what? Southgate, can you imagine? Can you imagine waking up one morning and seeing opening news now and seeing Southgate appointed West Ham manager and David Sullivan saying, "Oh, we got in New England, the old England manager. He's been to finals. Oh, fuck off!" You know, he was free. He was free. Karen loves him.
That would be horrific. And I honestly, oh man,
I don't think Southgate's corrupt enough to come to West Ham.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let's focus on the positives here, Danny. Great comment from Danny here, Gal. If we win on Monday, we'll be 4 points off the top 6.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's coming home. It's coming home, Danny. Right. What else we got? Yeah, that's a commonly. Honestly, I think I was one of those who was spreading that about. He just walked into a system at Brighton. No, he didn't. He helped create that system. Other people have benefited from his work. Right.
Let's see who we get, right, and then we can start, thinking and assessing how good they're going to be at the club. But I'd like Potter. I would, and let's just get this next couple of games over and done with. Hopefully, get a shot of Lopetegui, getting a new guy, and then we can start thinking and deliberating on how good this guy is or what he's going to bring to the club. But for me, it could be one of quite a few people, really, or one of 2 or 3. Yeah. No guarantee on Potter, but I'd like to think he's the one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you know margarine is 1 molecule away from plastic? PS, 27 ingredients used in margarine that are used in plant, just some stuff. Yeah, cheers, Ralph. That's fantastic. I thought margarine was illegal over here. Can you still buy it in the States? I bet you can. It was ruled out. It was ruled out, Yeah. It's an ominous and almost universally felt amongst West Ham fans and the players. There is a sense of feeling stagnant, I would expect, and dreading players. At practice, they look pissed to be filmed doing lots of drills. Yeah, I've noticed that actually. I watched one of them the other day. Didn't look like the happiest little group, did it?
But also, when
you do watch that here for a second,
Gary, it's the same. It's the same drills all the time, mate. Mix it up a little bit. But I see this. Do you know a lot of the drills that he does? I used to do with my boys. Youth football. So I know. It's worrying me a bit. Honestly, very basic drills. All I ever see is I see him doing constant rondos, and it's just this. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything like that.
You're saying it's a primary school game session. That's what you're saying. You expect them to be playing rounders soon. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm doing, Gal. I'm throwing my hat in the ring for the job, because I feel I can do the same.
You are a high achieving manager, Chris. It has to be said.
Hey, I've won things.
You have. You got silverware. I hope Sullivan doesn't get his way time after some lock signing. I hope the rest of the board go against him. It won't matter because he'll still have the gold shares on his side. The gold shareholders, they go with everything he wants, and largely. Disappointedly, Kretinsky does as well, right? Here's what it is. It won't be Potter, says Elbow 73. How do you know that, Elbow 73? We will win again one day when the new manager comes. We will. Darren. Great show again, Gary and Chris. Thank Darren. Hit the like button. Yeah, please hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Yeah, I've nearly said
Darren, get your dad to
the Bobby Moore stand.
Convince your dad to get the West Ham job as well.
YouTube. Yeah. Do that. Yeah, Darren, have a word, mate. Just let Staunton do his job and choose the next coach. Fuck's sake, Sullivan, wake up. Your shit of football, just a cheap option. And I think he is. We all know what he is. But I am always open to a transformation of character. And if Sullivan wants to perform said transformation in front of our very eyes and go and make the right appointment, I will give him all the credit in the world. Honest.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
No, I will. I've given him credit before, reluctantly. I will when it's due. Yeah.
But what I'm saying though, Gal, is it won't. I'm not saying you wouldn't do that. I believe you would, but I don't believe what you think will happen in order for you to say that will happen.
Oh no, it's never going to happen. I'm on safe ground there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, let's be honest. It's got to the point where Loppy takes it. Oh no, we're miles behind. Let me go down to the front of these comments. Where are we, Chris? We're miles out.
Oh mate, you're running real slow here. There's a couple.
I know.
Don't listen to what Claire's saying about me being in charge. She's talking nonsense.
Dougie says, yeah, this one. Had a few days out, warm me West Ham tops. Fair amount of people who said they felt sorry for our fans. I hate being felt sorry for, don't you? I hate that. Especially if it comes from
to tell me it. I know.
Yeah. I don't mind if it comes from like a Newcastle or something like a proper team, an Everton or something like that. But being, pitted by Arsenal or something, no, fuck off.
No.
Stick that up your arse. Summer 2026 could see West Ham having full control of London Stadium, new sponsorship, new kit manufacturer, and stadium rights. J-Lo contract ends June 2026, meaning a new head coach. Dad's Our Job podcast. No way he's staying until summer 2026. That might have been the plan, though, the original plan. Yeah, you mean you take us through 2026? Right. Hello, Jack. No. All people talking amongst themselves. God. Must find a way where I can filter out the people talking amongst themselves, because I ain't got time to read every comment before I slap it on the screen. Well, Southgate's fuck now. He's number 2. Steve Holland's gone to China. Could he be more clueless, though? I don't think so. Moyes with a Southgate number 2, the dream team. Daddy and his son. Big Moyes and little Moyes. Barney McGrew. Earthy started the game at right back for Bristol City State, almost like a wing back in possession, and a right of a back 5 out of it. Loads of energy, high press, but they didn't go through. That's interesting. I didn't think Earthy had that in his locker. It's good that he's agile. Gary can't have Chris in charge of the world. Yeah. Chris buys everything. How many tellies you got now, Chris?
Yeah, you got one more than me, mate. What are you on about? You're even worse.
Yeah. I can't lie. 6 tellies though, Chris. Fuck's sake.
Claire's got that. She's got 7 as well, hasn't she? Apparently, she's got 7, and she's
she's one bedroom flat. She's got one of those TV walls like Elvis.
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Yeah. Captain Scarlet. When you have a rocket scientist, he could get you to the moon, but when you have a clown, you have a circus. I'll tell you what. There is one. There is one analogy that my former co-host on the other channel used to use, which I actually thought was quite good, and that was to do with having the top ingredients. You work. It's a Michelin star restaurant. You have all the top ingredients, and you have Mary from the CAF in there as the chef. In order to use these. There are a lot of top quality resources in there. There's some great players we've got in that side. It's not a complete squad by any stretch of the imagination, but you can use them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And a switched on manager will come in. If it's about getting results, it won't be sticking to his own personal choice of style because that's the way everything must fit. Like Lopetegui, like Moyes before him, he'll be, he'll probably be a little bit pragmatic. I hate that word. Pragmatic in maybe being a little bit flexible and playing different systems to suit the players until a few more are available to him, because that is common sense, isn't it?
Well, it is. You want someone that can adapt, and adaptable to change. And I think you want to be using your best players in the best possible way and maximize, get the most out of them. But he doesn't do that. So yeah, I mean that's the one thing. Actually, it's an interesting point because we talk about all these games coming up. We're going to lose. But you know what? Like, when you actually do look at the quality that we have in our team, sometimes we almost forget about that. So not that we forget about it. It's almost like we've been conditioned to almost forget about it because we play such shit football. We do have some quality players. I mean, yes, we've got players out. I get that. We've got Kudus out and all this, that, and the other. But we do have good players. We do actually have a good squad of players.
That's a sad thing.
But we're forgetting it, really, aren't we? We're conditioned to forget it.
This Dad's Our Job podcast. Julian Nagelsmann, Germany. Now, this ain't the geezer that sticks his finger up his nose, picks his nose during a game, is it? You remember that?
No. I saw that, mate. Who was that? That was.
Whenever I think German manager, I think that dirty git doing that.
Joachim Low.
That's him. Joachim Low's picking his nose and eating it, wasn't he?
Down his pants, scratching his balls, and he was slicking his hands.
Yeah.
Dirty bastard. Yeah.
Yes, he was. Yeah. Pep's coming. He's coming home. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Like we took Pep, he'd probably turn into Lopetegui or something, turn into another flipping clueless guy.
Yeah,
that's what we would do to him at West Ham. We make good people crap. No, not Lopetegui was good, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, what I'd like though, and again, it should have been a prerequisite of this hire, is a manager that actually makes use of young players. And to do that, I do believe you need a younger manager. You got to have someone who's either just finished playing or a couple of years out, somebody that's not going to be so set in their ways, because every manager we've had apart from Bilic has been old. Bilic used quite a few youngsters, didn't he? But even Pellegrini, stuck by Rice, he believed in youth. Oh no, they're talking amongst themselves again. Bloody hell! Right, let's do a few more comments, Chris, and then we'll call it a game.
Let's talk about Newcastle, mate. Let's talk about the game, how we think this is going to play out on Monday.
Yeah. One more comment though, Gary and Chris. It doesn't even matter if the goals Krasinski and everyone went to get Sullivan ball for Sullivan's a power veto. He does actually. Yeah, he does, sadly. But it doesn't mean he can do what he likes. He just has a power veto to stop anything else. That is true. Colin, thanks for reminding me. Look, I think we've already spoken about Newcastle's midfield. Their attack is scary in terms of pace, in terms of creativity as well. Isaac can do everything. Gordon he's a bloody good player, isn't he? I like Claire Balding. I like Claire Balding, don't you? I think she's a great player.
The thing that worries me though is that I think we're catching at the wrong time.
Yeah,
not there's never a right time, but I just do. I don't think they've only got players coming back. They've got what's his face? Dan Burn, I think he's up. I don't know if that's good or a bad thing. He's outside playing that youngster in the back, aren't they? Like Kelly, I think his name is. So he'll be playing centre back. So maybe that might be an area we could target. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm really fearful of this because I just can't see a way around. I mean, again, Isak up front, Gordon on the left. They've still got Tonali on the bench. They've got Harvey Barnes on the bench.
Harvey Barnes, a player we should have had, right?
Mate, they've got strength there, and they've got people who can actually score and change games. So I don't think we have that. We don't have it. We don't have it on the bench.
The only thing I'll say is, if he's playing as a defender, Wan-Bissaka would stop Harvey Barnes. I remember what he did to Soufal, and it was frankly scary what he did.
Well, maybe you're right, but not if he plays as advanced as he has been, because then he's just going to get screwed over every time with the ball going over, over the top of him, and the likes of Harvey Barnes or Gordon are just going to have a bit of a free run. That's what worries me, because again, just to my point, like I said earlier on, I do feel that they have strengths in all the areas where we are particularly weak. Not that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a poor fullback; he's not. But clearly, he's playing too advanced, which leaves so many gaps around, in that kind of fullback area, in that fullback spot. So, I just think that we're there for the taking, and I think most Newcastle fans will believe and think that absolutely they would expect to get 3 points.
Wasn't this that he's talking about here? HVNY Hammer. Hope New York's not very cold. NY Hammer. But wasn't this the game where Declan Rice? He might be talking about a away game. Do you remember when Declan Rice scored with a header? He was up against the midfielder who we mentioned earlier. What's his name? They were saying he was a better player than Declan at the time.
Oh, I know you're talking about Longstaff.
Longstaff, yeah. And we laughed heartily afterwards because he got substituted and Declan scored the winner, I think. That's what happened. So was it that one? Might have been. Let's just talk about, we know how they're going to play. We know we're pretty sure how we're going to line up. The only good thing about Newcastle is they don't typically score a lot of goals.
Yeah.
But if we leave ourselves wide open, they will score a lot of goals. That's the problem. Wilson's injured, so he can't come off the bench and score like he always does.
No, he's back, mate. I think he's back now. I think Eddie Howe said
that's what David Forsyth just said. I read earlier that he was still injured.
No, he was injured. He's been training this week, so he is back. Whether or not he starts, he'll probably be on the bench for me. I reckon he'll be on the bench.
Yeah, of course he'll be on the bench, but then he'll come on and score. Of course he will. It always does.
Well,
always does.
But he likes scoring against West Ham, and so does Isak. So either way, we're screwed.
3 things that are certain in life, isn't it? Death, taxes, and Wilson's going to score against West Ham.
Yeah.
So
it's true. But that comment about Newcastle not scoring many goals, it's true, because I think the only time they scored 3 this season, aside from when they played some of the lesser teams, like in the Cups, for instance, I think it was against Forest 2 weeks ago. So, but again, famous last words, they don't score many goals. Just wait and see what happens on Monday. It could be a complete different story,
Why is it when it comes to managers, we go out looking for a Porsche, and come back with a Kia Sportage.
I think that's been a bit harsh on a Kia Sportage, if I'm being honest with you, mate.
Yeah, I think you're all right. What's that? Is it a Kia that's got engine system by Porsche? Do you remember? You you pull up behind it and it says engine system by Porsche.
Porsche engineering.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was one of those cheaper cars, right? No, I don't mind him actually. It's Sportage. I wouldn't buy one, but I don't mind him. I think they're right. Right.
Rapper than that, and they're really that we could use.
Del Boy's freewheeler. Yes, Gary. That's probably more like it. More like it. Well, a laughing stock of the Prem. We will be before much longer. We're getting there. That's for sure. Yes, exactly. Exactly, Ryan. Newcastle don't score many goals. West Ham, hold me beer. Kia Jarabshian, Sportage. Yes, he nearly ran me over once. Yeah. No, he didn't nearly run me over. It was the geezer at Tottenham, the CEO at Tottenham, Levy. I was going thingy over there, corporate, and he had his Range Rover behind us, little bloke, Range Rover behind us, sort of nearly. He was like nudging past me, like, "All right, mate, all right, get out of the way." I actually walked past Jarabshian when he was in Green Street. He was parked on Green Street. He was just getting out like any other punter, but he was in the middle of negotiations to buy West Ham, so I thought it was a little bit risky for him to be doing that.
Hey, just going back 1 year, when you said you nearly got run over by Daniel Levy once,
I exaggerated.
You meant like, I mean, what a way to go that would be as a West Ham. Can you imagine getting run over by Daniel Levy?
I'll tell you what, right? It'd be a cracking lawsuit for the wife, wouldn't it?
But mate, oh no!
Imagine that you get paid off double early by Levy's boys, wouldn't you? There you go. Accept this 7-figure sum. There you go. Goodbye. I reckon Lobby will almost want this nightmare to be over. I think he does. I think he does just want it done. He said last week, the week before, that the international break, he was just going to go home, and there was someone interviewing him, and he spent some time with him, this journo, and he actually said the only time he smiled was when he spoke about going home for a few days to see his dad.
Yeah, it's true that. Yeah, it is. Yeah, he looks miserable, mate. He's not happy.
Yeah. So give us your predictions, people in the chat. Let us know what you think is going to happen. I think this week, Chris, it's your turn to go first.
All right. Do you know what? All said and done, I'm actually feeling really optimistic about this game. So I think we're only going to lose. We're only going to lose. We're only going to lose 3-0. That's how I feel.
I see what you did there. You lured me into a false insecurity. You came in with the uppercut.
I'm going
4-0, says Bodger. 3-0, says Chris. Bodger, 4-0. City and Curse, 4-0. Gary Crawford, 4-0. Christopher, 3-1. Claire, 5-0. They will batter us. 3-0, says Don.
Claire's having a bad week. And she's having a real bad week.
Bad week. 4-0, Randy Bergstaller. 4-1, Andy Armit. There's literally nobody predicting a West Ham win. Oh, apart from Gary Brock, hero. West Ham will shit out a 2-1 win. Gary, you are unique in every way.
Hold up, there's another one here. 3-1 win. Bloody hell.
Where? Who said that?
Yeah, there you go. From Jay saying.
Jay. Jay and Gary Club. The Jay and Gary Club.
Oh, hold up. Sorry, that's a consolation bowing to get through. Okay, all right.
Right. No.
He's doing what I was doing as well.
Gary's on his own. Let it be said that Gary set the trend. If this happens, tell you what, I was in a car with someone the other night, another West Ham fan. He said to me, I got drunk the other night and put 20 quid on West Ham to beat Newcastle, didn't you? I said, well, you might as well pay up there, mate.
How much?
20 quid.
20 quid for what? Just a win, yeah?
Yeah, he's just having a casual betting.
Yeah.
40 to Newcastle. Was that 40 goals or 4-0? Yeah. I know you do things. I know you do numbering conventions different in America. HV, new way. It's like the dates all the wrong way around. Have you noticed? I'm surprised anyone based in the States ever sees a West Ham game because they have to interpret the calendar. 3-0 Newcastle. 3-0 Toon. Is that a Jackie Nicholson? Is that a Newcastle supporter? Yeah, that's right. You're always welcome. I like Newcastle supporters. I like Newcastle. I worked up there every week for like a year or so. Good people up there. 4-0 Toon.
I'm still having nightmares from last season when I went up to Newcastle, mate. 2 a.m. I left to get to that game.
Yeah, to watch a battering. My football record up there ain't bad, right? Recently, anyway, I went in the old days. I used to get stuff, but recent seasons, I've seen the win under Pellegrini, which I took my wife to, which is fucking hilarious, right? That was where Thingy was playing well. the little Brazilian that we sold, Felipe Anderson. Really good
Oh,
game.
yeah, yeah.
That was the game where Newcastle fans were not coming in until like the 15th minute or something. So they wanted to get rid of the fat bloke. They will nuke us from orbit, says Avram Grant Slipper. There's no middle ground we use. There's no nuance for you, Avram Grant Slipper. You're one way or the other, aren't you? Extremes and extremes. Thank you, Colin, Gary and Chris. Another great show. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to, I'm going to say it right, the Bobby Moore Stand on YouTube.
What channel, Gal?
The Bobby Moore Stand on YouTube.
Just double check.
I keep getting it wrong, but you know, old habits die hard, right? 7-0 officially, if you use the correct numbering convention, that's a 7-0 away win, Larry.
Yeah. I know. Well, maybe he's saying that.
Yeah, maybe. They don't let in many goals. No, they don't. That's the thing. We didn't create a chance. Well, we created a couple of little chances against Everton, but that was at home against Everton. This is away against Newcastle. I mean, God, the mind boggles, right? So Gary, I think, is still on his own. I mean, New York Hammer has gone for a one. Well, you can't have two guesses, 40 or a 1-1 draw. It's got to be one or the other. Get off the fence like Trevor Brooklyn. 4-1, Danny White. 3-0. I haven't made my prediction yet. This may surprise you. Probably won't. I think a lot of the predictions in here, I think I've seen quite a few of them already go for what I'm going to go for. But I do think we're going to score a goal. And I think we're going to get dumped 4-1. That's my prediction. Oh, he's changed it to 19-0. It's not cricket, New York Hammer. Come on. It's like, yeah.
4-1, yeah. I could see that. I could definitely see him scoring.
You got to laugh, and you got to laugh.
I can definitely see him scoring more than 2. That's for sure. I can see
Desmond. I don't see 2-2. Right when you say Desmond, I think of Desmond's, the old sitcom on Channel 4, which I used to like. Never not watch it, Chris? Was that too? You're too young for that. You're too young for that.
I remember Desmond's. Of course I do, mate. Yes, I am much younger than you, Gal, but I do remember.
Come on, Chris, play me. Right.
Yeah. Actually, no, I don't remember it, mate, at all. What year were you born in, mate? Bloody hell.
Right. Souček will score a freak last-minute goal. Yeah, I think the goal will be a freak. Well, either be Bowen or a freak, right? One of the two. Mm-hmm. Also, the reason I said Souček earlier is you've got to remember when we play some of these away games, it does tend to go a little bit more conservative on the selection. So I do think he might. We had that first half against Spurs, which was actually all right. It weren't bad. And then the second half, he threw everybody forward. Right, lads, we're going to try and win this. Everybody forward, apart from you two. You stay back. Got slaughtered.
Oh, man. Honestly, that game last season, though, that was just criminal. That was absolutely criminal. We walked away with nothing from that. I was so gutted. That could have been such a good away day. So gutted about that one.
Yeah. I know. Who were the other characters on there? Pork Pie, Matthew, wasn't it? Matthew. Who else? It was a funny show. It was funny show. Very good. We don't have a midfield. No. This is old ground razor. Come on, mate. We covered this earlier. Newcastle chomping a bit. They will be salivating. They will be salivating, especially those two Brazilians. I'll be looking at Paqueta thinking, right, here we go. Let's show what we can do against Lucas Paqueta, as they would say. In 1980, says Dougie, they threw petrol bombs at us fans. Yes, they did. I'm not forgiving that. But that was, frankly, before I started going to away games. So I am aware of that. And I know it was terrible thing to do. Lots of terrible things happen in football. Not quite that terrible, to be honest. Throwing petrol bombs. That's a bit extreme, isn't it? But nonetheless, these days, very nice place to go. Very nice people, Dougie. I recommend it. Good night out as well. Good night out. Dreamland 1-3. Let's call it a day, Chris. I think we're done, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. Let's just deal with the aftermath on Monday, see how that goes.
Yeah, pick up the pieces and, wonder where to next. Anyway, taxi for Lopetegui.
Get him gone. Get him out.
Yeah. Stop the lop, or we will end up in the drop.
Like it. That's definitely a Sun headline, that, isn't it?
Definitely is. All right. Well, we're done. Thank you, everybody in chat. Thanks, Claire and Matt, for making everyone behave. I don't know if they misbehave, but I'm sure.
I think Claire was the most misbehaved person in the chat tonight, to be honest with you. So
yeah. No, some good comments in there tonight. It's been good. Been good fun. But anyway, I hope all these predictions don't come true. I hope we go and win. Can't see it, but I hope we do. We live in hope. We support West Ham, of course we do. Anyway, see you all soon. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.